This is LSAT PrepTest 66, Section 3, questions 1 through 5, the first logic game section of this LSAT. Okay, so let's take a look. It says that a chemistry class has 6 lab sessions scheduled over 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 1 session held each morning, 1 each afternoon. Okay, so we have Wednesday, we have Thursday, we have Friday, and then we split this up into mornings and afternoons. Right, so we have this little grid going on. Okay, so immediately tons of information. Okay, each session will be led by a different lab assistant, Julio, okay, so J, K, L, N, O, or R. Assignment of lab assistant sessions is constrained as followed. Okay, great. Okay, so our first rule is that Kevin and Rebecca must lead sessions that meet on the same day. So K and R, in some order, must meet on the same day. Okay, next rule. Lan and Olivia cannot lead sessions that meet on the same day. So another K slash or L slash O, in whatever order, this cannot happen under any circumstances. They can't ever be on the same day. Okay. Third rule, Nessa must lead an afternoon session. Okay. So let's put that let's just put that out here. There's no Nessa in the morning. Okay, Nessa must be down here. Okay. Fourth rule. Julio's session must meet on an earlier day of the week than Olivia's. Right? So wherever Olivia is, Julio's got to be earlier. In other words, what we can say, Julio can't ever meet on Friday. Olivia can't ever meet on Wednesday. Right? Because otherwise there's no way we would ever satisfy this rule. Okay. So that's all the information they give us. It's pretty straightforward, right? Like other than Nessa, Nessa being afternoon, other than this inference that we get from this rule, it's going to depend largely on what kind of additional information they give us, right? So let's draw this line, meaning that we're never going to touch our setup again, and then let's go to the questions. All right, question 1. Question 1 is just your typical make sure you understand the rules question. Okay, so which of the following can be an accurate assignment of lab assistants to morning and afternoon sessions, respectively, on the 3 days? Okay, great. So basically what we're going to do, we're just going to go through these rules one by one. Oh, I'm sorry, this should be rule number 4. And we're basically just going to eliminate, right? So the first one says that Kevin and Rebecca must be on the same day, so that's true in A. It's true in B, they're together on Friday. And C, they are not together. So answer choice C cannot be correct. Answer choice D, they're together. Answer choice E, they're together. Okay, so that takes care of rule number 1. Rule number 2, Lan and Olivia can't ever be on the same day. Well, they aren't in answer choice A. They aren't in answer choice B. They aren't, oh no, they are in answer choice D. So that can't be right either, right? And answer choice E, they're separate, so that rule is satisfied. Okay, third rule. Nessa is not in the morning. So is Nessa in the morning in answer choice A? Yes, she is. She's on Friday morning. Get rid of it. Answer choice B, she's in the afternoon. Answer choice E, she's in the afternoon. Okay, which leads us to our fourth rule. J before O. So answer choice B is J before O. No, Olivia's on Wednesday, Julio's on Thursday. Meaning answer choice E is our correct answer. Alright, let's move on. Answer choice. Question 2. If Lan does not lead a Wednesday session, which of the following lab assistants must lead a Thursday session? Okay, so we have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We have mornings and afternoons. We know that there is no Nessa here. We know that there is no Olivia here, no Julio here. And now we also know there's no Lan here, right? Okay, so what does that tell us? That tells me that this LO split must go in one of Thursday or Friday, right? We know that they can't ever be together. Neither one of them can be in Wednesday, which means that L and O must split somehow between Thursday and Friday, right? But what does that tell us? Well, that actually tells us a lot, right? Because if L and O are split between Thursday and Friday, that leaves this block of Kevin and Rebecca that we're going to have to deal with, right? We have to put it somewhere. Can't go Thursday, can't go on Friday, so it must go on Wednesday. We don't know who's in the morning, who's in the afternoon, but we know for sure that Kevin and Rebecca must teach on Wednesday, right? Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look. So answer choice. So I mean, definitely, any answer choice that involves Kevin and Rebecca is just completely out right off the bat, right? So that's answer choice A. Answer choice A says Rebecca. Answer choice D says Kevin, right? So answer choices A and D are completely out. But that still leaves Olivia, Nessa, and Julio as options, right? So let's actually write these out. Okay, and so the question is, who must lead a Thursday session, right? So we've taken care of this rule. We've taken care of this rule. Nessa can't ever be in the morning, but I mean that doesn't tell us anything about whether or not she can be on Thursday afternoon. But here's the rule, right? Julio must always come on a day before Olivia, right? So there's only 2 days left. So that means Julio must come in here somewhere on Thursday, and Olivia must come in here somewhere on Friday, which means that, by extension, Lan must be over here since we have to separate them out. But that's kind of irrelevant, right? Because Lan is not one of our answer choices. So it turns out that, like Olivia must be on Friday, so there's no way answer choice B can be it. Lan and Julio must be on Thursday, which means that Nessa must also be on Friday, which means that C is not right, which means that E is definitely it, because of rule number 4, which tells us that Julio must come on a day before Olivia. Not just before in time in terms of morning and afternoon, but like a day before Olivia. All right, so answer choice E is the correct answer to this question. How about question 3? If Kevin's session meets the day before Nessa's, which of the following is a complete and accurate list of lab assistants, any one of whom could lead the Thursday afternoon session? Okay, so we have Kevin and Rebecca. Along with Kevin and Rebecca, we have this big block, right? And these guys meet immediately the day before Nessa, right? Which leaves us 2 possibilities. We either have this being Wednesday, this is Thursday, or we have this is Thursday and this is Friday, right? So let's go ahead and just draw out the possibilities, right? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, morning, afternoon. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, morning, afternoon. So this one's Kevin and Rebecca, Kevin and Rebecca. Right? We know Nessa can never be in the morning, so Nessa must be down here. Right? Or we have this possibility. Kevin and Rebecca are on Thursday, which means Nessa must be on Friday. Right? Okay, so let's switch to a different color. Let's try to draw out some inferences. Right? So once again, this 4th rule that Julio must be a day before Olivia comes into play. Right? Because if Julio wants to be the day before Olivia, that means that Julio must be here. Right, which means Olivia's got to be somewhere over here, but who's left? Right, Lan is the last one that's left. So this scenario can actually never happen. Right, contrast it to down here. Julio has to come before Olivia, at least a day before Olivia. Right, which means that Julio's down here. The only other room for Olivia is up here, Friday morning, which means that Lan must also go on Wednesday. We don't know what order they go in, but definitely, this is the only way that it can happen, right? Lan and Julio on Wednesday, Kevin and Rebecca on Thursday, Olivia and Nessa on Friday. Okay. So let's actually look at the answer choices now, and they're asking us a complete and accurate list of lab assistants who could lead the Thursday afternoon session. Well, there's Kevin and there's Rebecca, right? That's it. Nobody else can lead that session, which means the answer is B must be the answer. Alright, let's go ahead and clear our board here. We'll talk about the last couple questions in this section in this game. Okay, so question 4. Question 4 asks us, if Julio and Kevin both lead morning sessions, then any of the following could be true except. Okay. So Julio can't ever go on the last day, right? So once again, we have a case where we can split things into scenarios. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, right? Julio and Kevin both leading morning sessions. Well, that means Julio can either lead the morning session on Wednesday or he can lead the morning session on Thursday, right? If Kevin leads a morning session, that means Rebecca leads an afternoon session, which means that this also has to be put in somewhere, somehow, right? Which means that obviously there's no O here, because we know that. There's also no Nessas in the morning. Right? Okay, so they're asking us which of the following could be true except. Okay, so let's look. Answer is A. Lan session meets Wednesday morning. Okay. Well, we're saying Lan meets here, which means Kevin and Rebecca go down here. So let's actually draw this out, right? Let's put A in blue. So obviously it's not this case, right? Lan can't ever do that. But if Lan meets here, that means Kevin and Rebecca must meet here, which means that Olivia must meet here, which means Nessa must meet there. So Julio and Kevin leading morning sessions. Julio can't come on the day before Olivia, right? So this one already looks like a really good candidate for something that can't ever be true. Right, okay, but let's just keep that in mind, and let's move on to answer choice B. Right, so answer choice B says, Lan session meets Thursday afternoon. Okay, so if Lan meets here, then all we need to do is make sure that Julio comes on a day before Olivia, right, which means Olivia's got to meet over here somewhere, which means that Kevin and Rebecca must meet on Wednesday, Well, actually, Olivia's got to meet in the morning, right? Which means that Olivia and Nessa meet down here. Yeah, that's possible, right? So since it's possible, it's not going to be our answer. All right, let's get rid of this. Let's start again. Answer choice C. Answer choice C says Nessa's session meets on Friday afternoon. I mean, yeah, I feel like we just did that, right? Nessa's session meets on Friday afternoon because Olivia meets on Friday morning, which means Kevin and Rebecca are over here, which means that whoever's left, JKL, Lan meets there, right? We satisfy all rules. We actually just did that. B and C are eliminated by the same set of possibilities, right? Okay, get rid of this. Try again. Answer choice D. Olivia's session meets Thursday morning. Okay, so if Olivia now meets Thursday morning, that means that we can't ever be in this category, right? Which means that we have Olivia meeting Thursday morning, which means that, Julio is going to have to meet on Wednesday, right? Which means Kevin and Rebecca must be here, which means what do we have left? We have Nessa and we have whoever L is, Lan. We have Nessa and we have Lan. Lan can't ever be on the same day as Olivia, so Lan goes here, then Nessa fills in that spot, right? So this rule is satisfied. This rule is satisfied, this rule is satisfied, and Nessa not in the morning also satisfied. So answer choice D is possible, therefore is not the correct answer. Oh, and this is answer choice E, not answer choice F. Answer choice E says Olivia's session meets Friday morning, right? Okay, so once again, we can just do this, right? Olivia's session meets Friday morning, Nessa meets Friday afternoon, Lan meets Thursday, Kevin and Rebecca meet Wednesday, right? This is actually the exact same scenario as B and C as well, right? So just this one scenario eliminates 3 possibilities. Anyway, answer choice A is the only one that can't ever happen. So therefore, since they're asking us could be true except, that's got to be the correct answer. All right, and then home stretch. Question 5. If Julio leads Thursday afternoon session, then for how many other lab assistants can one determine which sessions they lead? Okay, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We have mornings and we have afternoons. And now we know that Julio leads the Thursday afternoon session. Okay, what does that mean? Well, that means that Olivia must be on Friday somewhere, right? Because that's rule number 4 right here. Which also means that Kevin and Rebecca have to be here on Wednesday somewhere, right? Okay, and then, what else does that mean? That means Lan has to be here on Thursday morning, which leaves Nessa, right? So we actually know a lot of information here. I just moved the O and the N up here, right? So just by following our rules, we know that this is the way it has to be, right? So here's the question. They're asking us, how many other lab assistants can one determine which sessions they lead? They gave us this one, so we don't get to count it, right? So 1, we know where Lan goes. 2, we know where Olivia goes. 3, we know where Nessa goes. K and R, we don't know where they go, right? We know they both go on Wednesday, but we don't know who teaches in the morning and who teaches in the afternoon. So the answer to this question is 1, 2, 3. And which answer choice is that? That's answer choice C. And that's the game. Alright folks, this is an addendum to the video that we did previously for LSAT PrepTest 66, Logic Game 1. And the reason for that is that, what we did previously is actually what you would do if you didn't necessarily see an inference that you can make. And you'll see that, you notice that in questions 2 through 5, each of them gave you a piece of additional information that you could plug in, and then from there we figured it out, right? So I mean, that is certainly a valid way to do things, and we actually did make pretty good time getting through this game. But it turns out that if you just do a little bit of additional thinking, this game gets even easier than that, right? So let's go ahead and reproduce our setup. Our setup is that we have J, K, L, N, O, and R, right? Our rules are that K and R must be together in some order. We know that L and O cannot be together in any order. We know that Nessa is not in the morning, so it must be something and then Nessa. And then we know that Julio must meet before Olivia, right? So our setup was like this. This is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. This is morning and afternoon, right? And then let's go ahead and reproduce this 3 times using the magic of technology. And you'll see why we do that in a second. Okay, so now I'm going to write in blue, right? And so this rule right here is actually the key to the entire game. Because upon further reflection, this is what we find out. Look, we have 6 slots. 2 of them in any particular one are actually completely determined. So here's the question. How many possible ways can this play out? Well, you could put K and R here in some order, right? That's what this little mark means. Or you can put them on Thursday, or you can put them on Friday, right? Those are the only three places K and R could ever go, because they have to move together, right? So we've taken care of this rule. And then from here, you get to see immediately how restrictive the rest of this game is. Okay, so there's no Nessa up here. There's no Nessa in the mornings. But how about these two rules, right? L and O can't ever be together. J must always come before O, which means, let's start with this one, right? If J must always come on a day before O, that means that J must come on a day before O here, J must come on a day before O here, J must come on a day before O here, right? So we know for a fact that J is on Wednesday. We know for a fact that he's on Thursday here, right? And then you add in this idea that L and O can't ever be on the same day. Well, we know L is here, which means that O is here, which means L has to be here. O is here, means L has to be here. O is here, which means L has to be here. And then last question, right? Nessa is the only one that's left, so she must be with O. And then what's happening? Nessa has to be in the afternoon, so it has to be like this. Has to be like this, and it has to be like this, right? And so when we transfer these up, we see exactly how few options we actually have, right? All I'm doing is transferring what we know up top, right? So here L and J in some order, O and N in that particular order. And then last time, L and J, for the sake of consistency, let's just put L on top, but we know they can switch, right? O and N. And here you go. These rules, when you combine them together, make for a super, super, super restrictive game. We know basically all the possibilities just by looking at these three charts, right? We know O and N always have to be together in this particular order, and depending on where K and R are and where they switch, L and J can also switch in the other spot, right? So now we know like literally everything there is to know, except, well, not literally, but almost. Right? And the ease of this game really comes out when you look at the questions. So, I mean, question 1 is just going to be your same typical, valid placement question. So we're not going to go over that again. But question 2, if Lan does not lead a Wednesday session, right? Does Lan lead Wednesday here? No. Boom. Lan lead Wednesday? She could. She could here as well, right? Which of the following lab assistants must lead a Thursday session? Well, what do we know? Can it be... I mean, Lan leads one here, so we can't use these. So it has to be over here. This is the only scenario that we have to work with. So who must lead a Thursday session? Either L or J. L is not an answer, but J is. J is answer choice E, and that is the correct answer. Right? How about 3? If Kevin's session meets on the day before Nessa's, stop right there. Is it here? No. Is it here? Yes. Is it here? No. So once again, we're stuck in this world. Right? So what do they want to know? They want to know a complete and accurate list of lab assistants who could lead the Thursday afternoon session. Well, it could be Kevin, or it could be Rebecca. They can switch, right? So it's K and R. So is that an answer choice? Yeah, that's answer choice B, which is the correct answer. Right? Moving to 4. J and K both lead morning sessions. Is that possible here? Yeah. Is that possible here? Yes. Is that possible here? Yeah. Well, so we don't get to eliminate any of the scenarios right off the bat, but it does ask, any of the following could be true except. So can Lan meet on Wednesday morning if both of these guys are leading morning sessions? The answer is no, right? Because we know for a fact that L and J switch off. So if J is in the morning, L is in the afternoon. If J is in the morning, L is in the afternoon. So she can't ever lead a morning session. So you look at answer choice A, that has to be right, and then you just move on. Right? And for the record, if you want to go through the rest of them, Lan's session meeting on Thursday afternoon, that's possible. That's possible here. Nessa's session meeting on Friday afternoon, that's possible in 2 of the 3 scenarios. Olivia's session meeting Thursday morning, that's possible here. Olivia's session meeting Friday morning, that's possible here. Right? So you just quick elimination on the rest of them. And then number 5, if Julio leads Thursday afternoon. Okay, so can he lead Thursday afternoon here? No. Here? No. Here? Yes. Right? So once again, these are the only 2 that switch. If Julio leads Thursday afternoon, we have LJ, ON, and then K and R switching. So what do they want? How many of the other lab assistants can one determine which sessions they lead? Well, if Julio's here, we know 1, 2, and 3. These 2 are the only ones that switch. So the answer is 3. Where's that answer choice? That is answer choice C. And so you see by drawing this additional inference, this game turns from maybe an 8-minute game into, I mean, each of these questions took us, at maximum on test day would have taken us an additional 15 to 20 seconds to just power through the answer choices and eliminate all the ones that are clearly wrong. And I mean, even the time that I took to explain it, not very long at all, right? And so from setup to video completion here, right? And I redid the setup just to see how long it would take. We just hit the 7-minute mark just now, right? So if you didn't have to explain it to anybody, this game maybe could have taken you 5 minutes. And it's all based on that additional inference that the first video did not spot, and that I imagine that most people would not have spotted. But then just a little bit of additional thought would have brought out. So the takeaways here are that given that we have so few spaces and so much of it that's completely determined, there are not very many possibilities in terms of where this KR block could go. And so when you see games like that, it is to your advantage to at least think about whether or not you could break them out into different worlds. All right, so this is the other, I think, much easier way to do the first game of this section.